Wealth Nation, money talks, but does it speak your language? My name is Carmen.
And I'm Darius, and welcome to the Wealth Nation channel, where financial freedom isn't just a dream, it's a reality. Now, what we're going to discuss today is 3 investments that you have to make in order to ensure generational wealth for the next 100 years.
Absolutely. So by the end of this video, you will have amazing tips that you need to start taking action. So let's start with the very first point, and that is human capital. That is the first investment that you need to make in your banking system, in your family generational wealth plan, whatever you want to call it. You need human capital. So what does that mean, Darius?
Well, human capital is actually the bodies that you need in order to have something to pass on to. When you think about a business, because this is absolutely a business, you need people that work in that business. And when it comes to generational wealth, the people that's going to work inside of that family business is the family. So we encourage you to make sure that everyone is included in this conversation about generational wealth, because it doesn't happen without people to pass it on to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is a really, it can be a sensitive topic because a lot of times money, there's so much pride and ego as it pertains to just having the conversation around money.
Especially within a family.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't speak to our siblings, we don't speak to our parents or even our spouses or our children about money because of that ego thing, that thing that just gets in the way. But we need to put all that aside, because in order for us to be able to build generational wealth, we got to talk about money. Right? So we got to put our ego aside. We have to talk about what it is that we're doing, because we just never know what's happening inside our own household, and also the solutions that we may be able to provide our families just with the knowledge that we have. So that's why when we talk about these 3 investments that you need to make, it's really 3 forms of capital, and you investing in these 3 forms of capital. So like Darius said, to reiterate, it's human capital. Whom in your family can you start speaking to? How many more babies can you start creating within your family so that you have the ability to take this level of understanding of what we're sharing on the Wealth Nation channel and pass it on? Because that's what we want to be able to do, is to be able to sustain wealth for generations to come.
Right. And you have to have an actual people in order to pass it on to. So that's probably the most important thing, is having those warm bodies, and not just having those warm bodies, but also having relationships and getting to a place where you can have conversations about financial decisions made within the family. Now, everybody operates on different levels. Everybody has a different way of how they process information and how they learn. So it's our job to take the time and understand how people learn, so that we can make sure that we provide them the information the best way that they understand. So, for example, I may understand through habits, through repetition of doing something over and over again. Carmen may understand things where she can just see it one time and she understands the theory behind it, and she can get behind it. Everybody learns differently. So with human capital, we have to get to know the people in our family, how they learn, what they're good at, because the money that we have in our family system or generational wealth is going to be used to encourage the growth of each individual within the family system, so that they can operate on the best versions of themselves through their passions, and how they can work within the family system to create more.
Absolutely. And disclaimer, because I can hear all of you out there going, but Darius and Carmen, it's hard to talk to my family about money. Well, what we have to do, folks, is we have to lead with love. It's so easy. We just make the conscious decision not to lead with love, right? Because we get frustrated and we're like, he's not listening to me. He made me mad at Christmas, and I'm never talking to him about money again. But remember, that's not where love comes from, and you're not going to build generational wealth on what is it called? Grudges. Right. Yeah, holding grudges. You're not going to be able to move forward if you're looking in that rearview mirror, right? So we have to take into consideration, what is it that we're actually trying to do, and share that vision, right? Sometimes it's just about sharing the vision as opposed to just trying to teach the mechanics of what it is that you need to do. You can lead with love in so many different situations when you're able to say, hey, this is something that I'm trying to build, and I would love your support in it. How does that sound?
Right. So 100% generational wealth is something that you have to work for. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would have a family office, but that's not the case. So the next point is going to be intellectual capital. The reason why you wake up in the morning and do the job that you do is because your employer has leveraged your intellectual capital. So they pay you for what you can offer them in order to make them more money. What we're saying is leverage this exact same thing within your family system or your family office so that you can start leveraging the intellectual assets that you have within your family.
Absolutely. Now, the intellectual capital is a big piece of why sometimes we don't move forward with this generational wealth building system, is because we stand in the way. How many of us are standing in the way right now? And the reason why you're standing in the way is because you refuse to ask for help. You refuse to delegate. You refuse to get information or opinions from other people because you're holding on to what you think you can control. And it's not going to be until you open up the floodgates and allow yourself to ask for help and find the individuals that are going to support your mission to help guide you along. Because remember, in order for us to take this to the next level, we have to ask the help of the individuals who have the knowledge that we need in order to create this generational wealth system. So if this is something that you are interested in, absolutely click on the link below. Darius, myself, and the entire Wealth Nation team, we would love to serve you and your family with getting life insurance so that you can start building generational wealth and make the next move in order for this whole system to come into place.
Right, because that's a perfect example. You may not be good at spreadsheets, so you hire somebody to do spreadsheets for you in 5 minutes so it can save you time. You may need someone to be an insurance agent because that's income that can come into your family once somebody in that family office passes away. So you have to leverage the intellectual assets that you have around you for the betterment of the intellectual assets within your family.
Absolutely. Now, the third point that we want to talk about is financial capital. And a lot of times we don't move forward again because we say we don't have the money that we need right now in order to make our dreams come true. But that can't be further from the case, because if you understand how money works, you would never stand in your way. And what I mean by that is you have to have the comprehension that it takes in order to be a savvy investor and utilize other people's money so that you can keep money flowing within your system so that you can develop the ability to have the capital that you need to accomplish the goals that you have set forth. When Darius and I started investing in real estate, we never used our own money. And it wasn't until we had that knowledge, that capacity to understand how money works, where we could flip houses without using our own money because we knew people who had money. And it isn't until you get to those different levels of understanding where you can really start to take things to the next level as you grow your family systems.
Right. And as we talk about that, when I think about financial capital, I'm thinking about how we use life insurance policies.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Like, we pay our premiums for our life insurance policies, but we use the cash value to make the investments into the assets that is going to grow our system. Mm-hmm. So that's how we're able to leverage one aspect of whole life insurance, but there's other things that we can invest in that also brings money into our household, like real estate. Real estate is an investment that people make. People may be good at stock market. People may be good at how and when to buy gold, commodities. There's a number of things that people are good at. This is intellectual capital that we need to have in place ahead of time so that the financial capital that we add into it and leverage it is able to grow our system, not just for right now, but for tomorrow. And our ability to grow this intellectual capital within our family is really what's going to take us through the next 100 years in a generation after that, by our ability to manage that.
Absolutely. So you can see this is a trickle effect, right? The very first investment that we said was human capital. Then we said intellectual capital. So in order for you to have the people that you need in place, you're going to leverage that capital for the intellectual property that they have, right? It's all about just understanding how to put the building blocks in place. So we need people, we need knowledge, and then through that level of understanding, that's where the finances are going to come in place. So with what we teach on the Wealth Nation channel about leveraging whole life insurance to create wealth, right? We're not talking about using a whole life insurance policy as an investment. No. That's never the case. We're talking about using a whole life insurance policy to create investments so that you can build that generational wealth. Because the one thing that we know that life insurance has is guarantees, whole life insurance specifically. And that is a death benefit, because at the end of the day, should something happen to you and you not make it to tomorrow, your family will have that guarantee of a death benefit that will be passed on to you. You can't have a guarantee with anything else but life insurance. Right. And so that's at the foundation of everything that we teach. And that's why it's so important for us to continue to preach the good word. And what we're saying lovingly here with the Wealth Nation family is we're closing the gap. We know that 50% of Americans do not have any form of life insurance, and we're here to educate those of our Wealth Nation family members, soon to be Wealth Nation family members, to make sure that you have life insurance at the bare minimum, because you just never know the financial needs that your family will need when you aren't here.
Right. And one of the reasons for this conversation or this video is the fact that wealth is usually is gone within a family in 3 generations. Mm-hmm. In 3 generations.
Or sooner.
The reason being is the first generation is focused on the creation of those finances or of that wealth
accumulation.
The second generation, what happens is they get comfortable. They start following the status quo. They start doing things that the first generation didn't do, like maybe joining country clubs or having fancy cars or bigger houses and going to university and things of that nature.
They sitting pretty on that accumulation of wealth.
Right. So what happens in the third generation is they're so disconnected from how the wealth was created in the first place that wealth is usually gone by the third generation. And by us having this conversation with you right now, we want you to take this into consideration for the systems that you try to create or that you are creating for your family.
Absolutely.
One thing when we go to work is we can't choose our coworkers. Same is the case when it comes to our family, but it's our ability and our job to work with them so that we can have a successful future for our family.
Absolutely. So Wealth Nation, take action today. What are the 3 investments that you are going to start taking action and acquiring today? Is it human capital? Is it intellectual capital? Or is it financial capital? All of these things in place are what is going to be the driving force to allow you to create that generational wealth, to allow you to create that financial freedom where it isn't just a dream, it becomes a reality.
Right. What's the purpose of money?
What is the purpose of money?
The purpose.
I know what I was going to say, but I don't know.
So the purpose of money is to buy that intellectual capital, because that's what our employers are doing in Fortune 500 companies. They're employing us to leveraging money to do the things that we're good at.
See, I knew he had a good answer. I was going to say to make more money, but I wasn't sure where we were going with that.
So I know I've said that a couple times in this video, but it's our job to invest in our family, because that is the human capital, the intellectual capital that's going to carry our generation forward.
Absolutely. All right, Wealth Nation, like we said, take action by checking out our next video. And remember to own your own lifestyle,
or someone else will. Patience is a virtue in everything a family does. For families setting their long-term strategies for preserving financial wealth, time is a friend in a way it is not for most investors. Equally, failure to take advantage of time is a waste of valuable family assets.